How do you have a free mind with 2 kids?
It's impossible. I'm telling you, as soon as I walk in that door, it's like, I got to get everything done before
I thought I saw you on the kayak catching some bass the other day.
I was out on the kayak. You know why? Because I left early in the morning before anybody woke up, and I was like, I'm out.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Shawn and Matt Show. My name is Matt, that is Shawn, and welcome to our show. Shawn, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about Compass, the Compass brokerage, and we're going to be talking about some Compass slander and some Compass libel. I don't think it's libel, but just like Compass slander in general. Just like people going at Compass. We're going to be talking about Airbnb and what happens when you're renting out a place and then maybe you're just like, hey, I wonder if any Airbnbs are in town in my city, and then you just pull up your own house. Like, imagine you're just renting out your house and then your house is on Airbnb.
That's insane.
Without your permission, of course. What do you do? And then we're going to get into the hottest new topic on the show. This is becoming a thing, and I'm excited. It is In or Out, where we take a look at just some interesting, different, weird things that are happening in the real estate world and whether Shawn is in or out on it. I think I'm included as well.
Yes,
but, I like to
and then
hear
whether you
Shawn,
are, right? The viewer.
Yeah, and if you have some hot takes on it too, because one of these things, I think I know why they did it, but it's just so strange.
Yeah.
And do you call it? Well, we'll get into it. So let's start with a article let's just start with the Compass slander.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Inman, The Real Deal, large real estate publications have been publishing articles recently, essentially about Compass's financials. And, Compass, they're, the quote unquote startup brokerage based in New York City. They came onto the scene, I want to say back in 2012, maybe as Urban Compass. They've raised a tremendous amount of money, and they've done an amazing job doing it. Think like hundreds of millions of dollars of attempting to recreate the real estate brokerage model and to get away from that traditional model. Now, maybe they are a traditional, brokerage, quote unquote, but if you look at some of the things that they're doing, they're way ahead of their time, and they're causing, the other brokerages, like the real traditional brokerages, to really up their game. However, in the process, they've kind of taken, a New York Yankees approach to it, where they have the bankroll, okay, and they've acquired the talent, and in doing so, they've just bought other agents from. There's no other way to do it, right? You're not gonna you're not gonna have brand new agents and just rise to the top. If you want to do what Compass wants to do, which is be the number one brokerage, which, by the way, I should have the stat, but if they're not, the number one brokerage in New York by volume, they're very high up there in terms of, the most successful real estate brokerages. So they're definitely doing it, but they're also, doing it at, the cost of other brokerages, simply because of business models and whatnot. So that all leads to what happens when things start slowing down. So now they've spent all this money, and now sales are falling, and experts, quote unquote, are picking apart their financials and saying, hey, look at this startup company that is burning all this cash, that is losing all this money. Look, everyone point and laugh, and look at how unprofitable this company is. I don't know the end game with these articles, but as we head into late 2022 and into 2023, we're seeing the layoff articles, right? We're seeing the sales downturns. We're seeing the Goldman Sachs predict sales are not going to increase. So we're going to start seeing more and more of these. I don't know if they're shameful, but downward trending articles about Compass and about other brokerages, possibly, whether or not that's warranted. And I'm not quite sure what the goal is of these articles. So, Shawn, with all that being said, I know that was a mouthful. I'm talking for like 5 minutes now. Is it fair to criticize Compass because the article says they're the most unprofitable brokerage ever, which, could be true, but they've also done incredible things, whether it's raising money, whether it's coming up with, the Compass Concierge program, some of their Compass Bridge Loan programs, some of their marketing services. They've done so many positive things to the industry. So like, two questions. One, is it fair to criticize this company on this one stat line when they've done so much else good? And then two, if you're a Compass agent, why do you care? Like, why do you care if the company is spending money? Why do you care if, people are hurling rocks? Like, is that going to be affecting your business?
Okay. Number one, yes, it's okay. It's fair to criticize. The reason I say that is because the companies are out there for profit. And if you're not turning a profit, you have now investors that you have to talk to. So I think it's fair to criticize. Now, are they getting wrongful critics at them? Maybe. Maybe it's too soon. Listen, every brokerage is going to be cutting back. We had to expand. Everything having to do with real estate had to expand because of the sheer volume and the craziness of the market, right? So title companies, lenders, and real estate companies were all expanding to hire so that they could get all of this through quickly. Now we're seeing everything slow down. So naturally, in order to keep that profitability, they have to start laying off. So we're going to see that over and over again until the market starts turning back. But here's the thing is it's finally going into kind of a normal market in our area. Things are still selling, right? We're back in Labor Day. I got a place under contract today. We're seeing multiple contracts on a couple other things. Actually, the house across the street from me is for sale. 9 a.m. first showing, 9:45 second showing. There were 4 showings this morning on that house, right?
That contract that you got today, that was the quickest I've ever seen a contract come in, and then you guys sign it.
Oh, yeah.
You jumped on that contract before I could even read the terms. The ratified contract was back in my inbox.
Hey, man, when you get the right one, you just say, we're done. Let's move forward. And that's the key is when you have a contract and it's ready to go and the terms are good and they're, let's just ratify this thing and let's get it moving, right?
Well, yeah, it's hard to say things are on the downturn when when Lake Braddock is getting 20 offers, right? It's so hard to be relative and realistic. Things are still moving. We might be doing home inspections. We might not be doing home inspections. There might be multiple offers. There might be a deadline. So it's not like the bottom's dropping out.
I wrote on one the other day. It was a townhouse out in West Springfield. West Springfield is a really good, area that's kind of up and coming, or it's churning. And there was a property out there. I thought it was slightly underpriced. They had a deadline. I'm like, deadline? They're not going to get anything. They had me by the deadline, but of course, we don't have an answer. They ended up getting 2 more offers. So it was we had to go after it. We ended up not getting it, all cash. But let's go back to Compass. When you hire Derek Jeter, you better be selling shirts, and you better hope that he's still a great shortstop, right? You better hope. And that's what Compass did. And they went out there and they bought all of the best real estate agents and real estate teams and companies that they could, because that's what their game was. Their game plan was to go after these big dogs, and then hopefully those people would make them the money. Did they spend too much on them? I don't know. Did they promise, they promised shares of stock in a lot of instances in that, I believe, from kind of talking.
Just on the spending too much, if you look at any free agency in the off season, whether it's the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, everyone spends too much. No one looks at the 30-year-old KG veteran is like, oh, this 7-year, $45 million contract, that's a good. No, it's you're spending for talent, and you're hoping, hey, maybe if we get this guy, it'll show everyone else how awesome our culture is. Which, by the way, I think Compass has done an amazing job with their culture. I don't know Robert Revkin. I don't know the uppers in Compass, but most, just about all of the agents that I do know that have gone to Compass, I'm like, that's a cool chick, or like that dude is awesome. It's
They
like,
did a great job in that.
It feels like a very like homey environment. It doesn't. I'm not in the belly of the beast, right? But it does feel like a congruent message that they're trying to send to the market.
Absolutely. I think it's a really well-run company. I think they've done a lot of innovative things. They changed the brokerage in a lot of senses where, those traditional brokerages were like, crap, Compass. What is Compass? And then they started seeing all of this innovation and how their marketing is done and all this other stuff. And they had to change. So they've changed the business fundamentally, right? And so I think they did a good job on that. I think they spent a lot of money, and we haven't seen them profitable yet. And that's going to take years, in fact, right?
But are they trying to be profitable? Like, is that their goal was to raise money to have agents come and then to be like the number one brokerage? I don't know if profitability was ever their goal.
I mean, it has to be as a company, wouldn't you think? I mean, if you're on the stock exchange and you're trying to sell shares of stock and you want your value to go up, then you have to be profitable. If you're not, your shares are going to go down and your people are going to get pissed. Right. So, I mean, I think you have to be. Yeah, you want to be the biggest brokerage, but you better damn well be profitable, So I think so. And, I think it's there. Maybe it's a long game, right? All right. So it's not profitable yet. But if those companies and teams and agents stay there and they keep churning and churning, and, naturally upfront costs are going to be huge. And when did they come out to the game? 2012. I remember asking you, I was like, did you ever hear this brokerage Compass? And you're like, yeah. I was like, it's the first time I've ever heard of them, and they were circling around DC. They started in DC a little bit, but now they blew up. They were everywhere. Right. So I think, you can't be so quick at jumping at these guys, right? There's still solid agents there. They still got a great reputation. They've built a good foundation. That foundation they need to build on top of it. And years and years to come, you think about, the brokerage that we're at, it's been around for decades and decades, right? They're in 1 decade. So give it time. I think it'll turn. That being said, I know a lot of people have their doubts about Compass and the way it was structured and the way that they were paying out the money. And so maybe they went a little too far. I don't know.
Yeah. The thing is, like, they're still a traditional brokerage, right? They're not... there's not like, so EXP, right? That's a cloud-based brokerage. Real, who's now, started to make some noise. That's a cloud-based brokerage. We have like discount brokerages, right? Like, is Samson Property?
I don't know if it's around the board, but usually what I see.
No, I think I made a mistake. Because like I get the advertisements where it's like $500 join-in fee and then like $5,000. Like, I don't know what but it's not these like crazy high splits, right? Like there's some brokerages in the Northern Virginia area where it's like, hey, join our company and like basically pay nothing and then just hang your license. Maybe like try to use our title company, which is still kind of sketchy, right? It's like, we strongly encourage you to use, this title company. But so like Compass is obviously not a discount brokerage. They're obviously not a cloud brokerage. So that makes them a traditional
kind of a
brokerage,
hybrid,
right?
Yeah.
Like Serhant in New York City, he's kind of a cloud brokerage because he has like Serhant World, or like he has some learning platform. He's kind of also like a media thing because he does have like Serhant Studios where he has like a bunch of different agents doing like YouTube like shows, like here's a Brooklyn townhouse, here's like a Dumbo, whatever. So I would say maybe that is a spin on traditional, but what I'm getting at is like, how are the chips going to fall when the sales slow down ever so slightly for Compass? But let's be honest, Compass has like some of the top agents in the area. How are things going to change when the sales go down a little bit and then the Compass agents realize that their splits, the money that they're giving to the brokerage, are a little bit higher than maybe like a cloud-based brokerage or some of these other brokers out here?
Yeah, and that depends on culture inside their company, right? I mean, there are some people that, like our company, our culture is really good. Compass culture seems to be good, and people love to be at Compass from what I've talked to, right? And so if they can keep that and maybe that big split doesn't matter to them as much as the company culture, then they'll keep a lot of those. But let's be honest, at the end of the day, it comes down to bottom dollar a lot of times. And so that could be the time where people say, well, I was promised all the stock isn't doing good. Maybe it's time to just cut my loss and say, all right, boom.
Well,
I'm out,
yeah,
right?
everyone wants more money.
Right.
Everyone wants the lowest split possible. They want to keep the most amount possible. But at the same time, every agent knows that they know of 10 other brokers they could join tomorrow that offer the lower split.
Right.
So why don't they do it? It's culture. It's got to be Compass's culture.
That's right. And that's why, and I think they did a good job at that. They built a good culture, and, they are a brick and mortar brokerage. And that's where things are starting to go, is brick and mortar. So you can't walk into the real estate company anymore like EXP. EXP is a brokerage, and they have this cloud sourcing thing where, hey, I have a question for a broker, and you see which broker's online, and you talk to that broker in that state. I guess that's how it kind of works. And so they don't have those added costs that brokerages do. So in turn, they can hire, they can get you a better split, and they can probably profit share and things like that, right? So I think that's the way the brokerage is going. However, I'm very thankful for Compass, honestly. When Compass came in, they came in at a pivotal time when a couple other brokerages were coming in at a very discounted rate. And they came in and they said, wait a second, we're not a discount brokerage, but we're going to do things a little bit differently. And I feel like they kind of saved the traditional model in a way. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But I felt like it saved our work ethic and our work ability and our commissions, basically, to not all go to the discount way.
Does every brokerage need to be a cloud-based brokerage or a discount brokerage?
No.
It's like, it seems like it's like either a race to the bottom or a race to like cut as many costs as possible.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, brick and mortar, I mean, it's tough to keep all those office spaces going. There's a lot of payment that goes to those, right? There's a lot of overhead that you have to pay for in that brick and mortar style. If you can get away with, but there's also a lot of benefit, right? As we see, when I work from home a lot. And sometimes I'm like, man, I got to get out of here. I can't get anything done, right? So going to that office space, granted, you could go to a Starbucks, you could go wherever and get stuff done. But going into that office also has that camaraderie, right? You need to go and talk to agents and meet them face to face and be like, hey, how's it going? I need to run this by you, blah, blah, blah. Meeting face to face is still needed in life. It keeps us going. It keeps us happy, and I think that is still needed, especially in real estate, because real estate is a very lonely business if you're by yourself, right? And it's a very psychological business. And so you got to be careful.
Well, with the brick and mortar, I mean, sometimes our brokerage will put like awards up, and they'll print out our faces and put them in the windows. And then I'll have friends that'll text me like my face when they're walking by Wilson Boulevard. And pumps up the ego a little bit, but that can't happen in like a brick and mortar. It's like my face is out there. It's like an advertisement.
Yeah, no, it's great. And you mean non-brick and mortar. Yeah, you have no space to advertise, right? And there's a lot of people that walk past that every day, and it gives you advertising every single day. Now, without that office space, you could do a lot of internet advertising, but is it the same? When you're walking around a neighborhood and you see your neighborhood brokerage, that kind of gives you that hearty feeling that, hey, they're located here. I know they're local. I'm going to use them, right? And so there's something to that. So you can't always just dismiss a brick and mortar. And I think there's space in this community for everybody.
Okay, let's move on to our second topic. This comes to us from the irishtimes.com. My tenants are advertising my property on Airbnb. So here's the deal. Well,
could you imagine?
The title kind of just said it all. Someone recently discovered that their tenants in their rental property, their long-term rental property, are currently advertising their property on Airbnb. The lease obviously says no subletting, but the owner has confirmed that they are regularly booking out the property to Airbnb guests at the weekends and during the summer. First of all, I wonder what their Airbnb like rating is, right? Because like if I'm booking an Airbnb, like I want the bathroom to be clean, I want there to be showers, I want there to be like a welcome binder, I want there to be like a little Roku controller. Like, do you think these people that are living there are also keeping it in that condition? I can't imagine so. But if they have like a 4-bedroom house and then they rent it out and like 2 of the people leave, or it's like room by room, or maybe they just all head out for the weekend, that could be like a really good way to pay the rent, a really good way to break the lease and do something illegal, but also maybe a good way to make some money. But clearly it's illegal. So Shawn, what as a landlord, as a property owner, what could you do if you find out that your renters are Airbnb-ing your property?
Man, I mean, it's straight in the lease that it says you can't sublet. And it depends on where the property is. If it's in a condo, a lot of those condos don't allow Airbnbs. If it's a single family, it's a little bit different. But man, would I be pissed, right? Oh, you're profiting from my property when it states in the lease that you can't do this. And you think about it, you could probably get away with it in a lot of instances because those landlords aren't really researching or looking for Airbnb properties near their place. Maybe they are, maybe that's what they're thinking of doing, but what could you do? You could try to break the lease, but there are so many laws that help the tenant, especially in like DC, there's tenant laws. A buddy of mine is selling a property where there's a holdover tenant. He's like, what can you do about it? They're a holdover tenant. They're not paying their rent. I mean, what would you rather have? Somebody profiting off it or not paying you, So I don't know. This is a weird situation and I can't believe, I never thought of it, right? But this could happen over and over again. And I think about it like, oh, if I go away for the weekend, my house is sitting empty. I could probably Airbnb it. Do I really want to? No, I don't want people in my stuff when it's my personal stuff. But yeah.
Have you ever helped a landlord rent out their place and the tenant you found was an LLC? It was under like a corporate entity. Because like a couple of years ago, I was renting out a Ballston condo at the Continental, and it was like a corporate entity. And I had looked into what's known as like rental arbitrage, like lease arbitrage. Arbitrage. Essentially, what you do is you get an LLC. And then you call it like a relocation company or something like that, where essentially what you do is, quote unquote, like help people find new places in the area by allowing them to stay in your property for a couple nights, couple weeks, couple months. Essentially, what you're doing is you're a company that is just going to be like a holding company for an Airbnb sublet, right? So this LLC reached out and was like, hey, I want to rent it, like send me the lease. Like no application, no nothing, didn't see it. And I was like, hey, thank you I kind of slow played him. I was like, hey, thanks like so much. Let me know if you want to see it on Saturday or Sunday. And the guy goes, oh, I didn't know seeing the place was mandatory for renting it out. And I was like, it's not mandatory, but I found, most renters, want to see the place. He's like, well, this is going to be an LLC. This is how it's structured. I'm like, this sounds like, I don't know if it was going to be like that, but it sounds like something where they were just going to be rotating people in and out. And I think that's where you have the issue is once you start rotating people that the landlord doesn't know but is staying in the property, because you got to think of the liability, the damages. Now, Airbnb does have insurance, right? If something does happen, the tenant who would be renting it out would be covered. However, I haven't read through all the Airbnb rules, but if you're telling me that the tenant is illegally having a property on Airbnb, Airbnb might just step away and just say, hey, listen, you broke, this fine line of the terms and conditions. We can't help you here. So the personal property damage, the injury damage that could occur if someone falls, I mean, as a landlord, you're just opening up yourself to all sorts of issues.
You bring up a good point about Airbnb, and I've never rented anything out on Airbnb. Matt, you're
such a Gen Xer.
I know, dude.
I'm just get a hotel in Ocean City.
I've never put. That's true. I've never actually. Maybe I have. I don't know. When I was with you, we went on an Airbnb. No, I'm just saying, like, I've never put my own property up on Airbnb either. But I'm sure there is a checkbox or something that you have to sign that says that you have the rights to be able to do this, right? So right there, Airbnb could squash you and could sue you or whatever. You're opening yourself up for a lawsuit or some liability there. So I just wouldn't do it. But,
so I think, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to bring up another thing about, you were talking about like corporate stuff. And there's a lot of people that have approached me about corporate rentals. What they want to do is rent it out for a period of time to corporations, like have a fully furnished rental. And when companies need a spot, because it's a little more lucrative, it might not be rented out as much, but you can get more money for it when it's rented out. And somebody needs a place, instead of going to a hotel and paying $400 a night, you could do this for $300. And so that's what a few people have approached me about that recently, about purchasing a property and being able to do that.
You know what the move is to find a military area, and then to see what like the payments, like the housing payments, like the BAH
Right.
basic allowance for housing, and then you rent your room out. You rent the house out by room, and each room is the max BAH, because if you're in an area, that military person can only spend that amount on housing. So if their BAH is like $1,200, maybe it's like $632. Like they can't spend $500 and then save the other $100 for like Chick-fil-A. They have to spend it all. So then you just have all the separate doors, with different locks, and then you rent it out room by room. Shout out to my esthetician, Leah at Skin DC. She was like, this is what my ex is like looking at doing or whatever. But that goes along the same lines of like, how can you hack the house? I mean, and renting it out like room by room to military could be a good idea.
That's pretty funny. I never thought of that either. I mean, that's the thing is I'm so ingrained at what I do that I never think outside, like to think, all right, what can I do?
But you have a lot of creative ideas. Dude, you're coming out with like different apps like every other week. You're like, how about this app? How about that app? I'm like, dude, just sell some houses.
I love creating stuff, but that's only when I have a free mind, and it's not often when I have a free mind. So
how do you have a free mind with 2 kids?
it's impossible. I'm telling you, as soon as I walk in that door, it's like, I got to get everything done before
I thought I saw you on the kayak catching some bass the other day.
I was out on the kayak. You know why? Because I left early in the morning before anybody woke up, and I was like, I'm out.
That's how to
get
do
that
it.
kayak in the truck and get it out. So I started in Georgetown, and I went down to the Lincoln Memorial on the water, and I pulled out a pretty decent sized bass in this like hole. Oh man, I could go on. I won't.
So, as a landlord, are you writing like a lawyer letter to the tenant? Is that what you're doing? Because in the article, she said that they didn't have no problems with the tenant. They're good tenants, no issues. But are you having a conversation first and say, hey, knock it off? Or
yeah,
else?
I'm calling them first. I'm saying, hey, what's going on here? I saw you're listing my property on Airbnb.
Passive aggressively rent it from them?
Yeah, I mean, cool idea, but dude.
Give them 1 star.
Yeah.
So no one else will want to rent it.
Also, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, all right, your lease is going to terminate at the lease end, and I'm going to start Airbnb in that one. if it's a good one, hey, thanks for showing me the opportunity. See ya.
Seriously. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to our third topic. This is going to be in or out. Shawn, are you in or out?
All right.
Okay, let's start with a guitar-shaped house in Atlanta, outside of Fayetteville, Georgia, near Atlanta, excuse me. A guitar-shaped house is for sale for the high 6s. Now, if you walk up to the house, you can't really tell that it's a guitar-shaped house. It looks kind of like a weird house, but the aerial site clearly shows the neck, the big part, and the end part. I don't know the guitar parts. And a former musician, or maybe a current musician, purchased the home a while back. It took him 16 years to finish. Doesn't sound too good. I don't think you want to take 16 years to build a house. Eventually sold it, and the current owner bought the home in 2012 as an investment property for just $55,000. 10 years later, selling it for 10 times, 100 times, basically selling it for close to $700,000. So, Shawn, are you in or out on this 5-bedroom, 3,500 square foot guitar-shaped house?
I'm a rocker, man. I'm in.
Shawn's all in.
Digging it.
I already knew it.
I think it's unique. I wouldn't have sold it for $55,000. I wouldn't have done the work, but I would have bought it from him for $55,000.
Are you concerned?
For sure.
Are you concerned about buying a flip? You already bought one.
Yeah.
So
I've done it.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I'm not worried about that. I think the coolness factor of it is, hey, look at my house. You're going to get a lot of I don't know where's it located?
Outside of Georgia, outside of Atlanta.
Atlanta, Georgia. You get all the concert goers. Come on, Airbnb, my guitar house.
Yeah, talk about Airbnb. Just
people
go
will want to
ham.
stay in that.
Go
thing.
ham on the
That's
Airbnb.
Cool. I'm in. Yeah.
Shawn's in.
Digging it.
I don't know.
Not in. He's not
I like traditional. I might be out on the guitar shaped house.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our second in or out. This comes to us from TikTok and Fox 8. Unusual toilet placement in a $2 million home perplexes the internet. We go to T. The Little Portugal neighborhood. Essentially, this townhouse, It's like a hallway. Like you see this video and you're just going upstairs and then you have this little narrow hallway. I guess that's life in the city. And then, it's social media, a realtor on social media doing the whole walkthrough. Hey, here's what 1.95 million gets you in Toronto. Great video, by the way. It's gone viral, clearly. Good job for the agent. Gets up to the top floor, walks through the main hallway, and you see a sink. And then you get to the bedroom, does a little pano, and right as the 34-second video ends, you see a little toilet in the bedroom, Shawn. Toilet's in the bedroom. Not only is the toilet in the bedroom, the capsule shower is also in the bedroom. These things were not pointed out by the agent, maybe on purpose.
Hey, look at this bedroom. Don't worry about that toilet sitting in the corner.
Are you in or out on the super skinny design and the unusual toilet placement?
Yeah, I think we all know that I'm completely out on this.
You can't have anyone else in the bedroom. What do you tell your significant other to go in the hallway?
Yeah, I mean that is. I mean, you have to live there alone. You have
to live there alone.
You got to see this.
So now you're living alone in a $1.95 million property.
That's the thing is $1.95 million gets you a toilet in your bedroom.
Are you in or out on Toronto? Have you been to Toronto?
I have. Have I been to Toronto? No.
I
think through you I've been to Toronto. You were there and you sent me pictures. That's the only way I've been to Toronto.
I think I need to go back to Toronto. Yeah. I've had some good times there, but I don't know enough about the city, and all I know are Maple Leafs and just disappointment and whatnot. So I'm 100% out on the toilet in the bedroom.
I mean, we just got to see if this thing sells, and I understand why they did it, just because that's the only space for plumbing. It's like they put a bathroom where there is no room to put a bathroom. It's a wall basically where he's like, all right, well, there's a pipe coming up here. Let's put 2 more pipes up.
We both know it's going to sell. It's definitely
it has to at some point, right?
It just depends on what price.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our third topic, Shawn. Are you in or out on these 5 home accents that always look good in real estate photos? According to the pros, this comes to us from Apartment Therapy. Accent number 1, white linens. White linens.
White linens. They always look good. Yes, I'm in with white linens. I think they look crisp, clean. Definitely in.
Do you use white linens like in your daily life? Because I like white linens.
I do. I like them. Yeah, I think my bedspread's white.
Or do you just like? Are you just like sweating, or like is you just like always stains? And
I used to have other colors, and I used to be a night sweater. Drink too much whiskey. That's what happens, right? I wear clothes to bed. Like
like a normal person.
So if I sweat, it's not getting on my sheets.
You don't have jammies.
All right, so I'm a tighty whitey sleeper. No, totally not.
You don't have a PJ.
I don't have PJs. I'll just like wear a t-shirt and like.
You don't throw on a gown.
Sometimes, it just depends on my.
What
mood.
about in like during the holidays? You get like the 4 matching Christmas
Absolutely,
gowns.
My family has. I think now 4 different sets of Christmas jammies.
You do have jammies. You do have jammies.
I do have jammies, and one day I will show you those pictures. Maybe I'll show it.
Why have I not seen them?
They're good, man.
I know.
We have the hat, the elf hat, everything. You got to have that stuff.
When you're holding out on me.
You got young kids. You got to play the game, man.
Holding out on me. All right, number 2, smaller furniture.
Yeah, it depends. Let me put it that way. I sold a place in Liberty Center one time. It was a nice, expansive like condo, and it had a rounded wall of windows and a nice open living room. And the stagers at the time put a tiny couch. And it just looked weird. You got to make it size appropriate for the property. I like small furniture, but if it's in a big room, it ain't working, right? So small furniture for small places, yes.
Yeah, I might be in the middle here. I think it depends. We had that condo at the Waterview. We put in the stagers put in this 2-top dining room table. Now, not a lot of space to put in the dining room table, but the 2-top wasn't working, and the seller made it very clear to me in very strong language that it wasn't working. It wasn't selling either, which may be why she was upset. But definitely depends. You got to be careful with it.
You ended up changing that out.
Yeah, we changed it to like a 4-top from a rectangular 2-top to a very small circular oval shape.
And it's old. Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, furniture matters.
The table helped, but so did the $30,000 price drop.
That's really what helped.
Number 3, large plants. I just got to take this over. I love large plants of the fake kind. Real plants are awesome, but like you get like a really nice fake plant. Oh, nothing better. Well, maybe a real plant would be better. But in college, I had a real plant, and then I checked it, and we had it inside. And there are all these like little creepy crawlers like crawling in it. I don't know if that was just bad plant fathering, but I enjoy like a good fake plant.
It depends on the plant again, but I believe that plant gives life to the property. It gives a little bit of life.
You got to have something green. You can't
just
have like deadness in the spot.
Because then it looks stale. So giving it a little bit of life definitely works. Now over, the huge plate, just be tasteful and it'll work. Yeah.
Dining room statement lighting. Are you in or out on dining room statement lighting? Maybe not this one specifically, because I'm out on this photo.
Yeah.
But in general, a statement piece.
Yeah. I mean, again, it depends, right? I mean, if I'm staging a property, I'm not saying you need a statement lamp here. No, that's not my style. But I've seen statement lamps go good and I've seen statement lamps go bad, and it depends on your taste and your statement, right? Some statements are awful.
At the atrium, when I staged one in 2018, I walk in and they're like, would you change anything? And I was trying to be funny, and I looked at their dining room light fixture. I'm like, this is horrendous. I hope you I hope you don't have.
That is super honest.
I was like, I hope you don't have any special connections to this light fixture. And she goes, well, actually, me and my husband were in New York City during Christmas, and a light snowfall started to appear around sunset. And from the corner of our eye, we looked across the street, and in this shop, we saw this light fixture, and we just knew we had to have it. And it was around the time when we were falling in love, or maybe they were already in love at that time. And so we went over and bought it. And I'm like, well, I feel like a jerk, but why don't we take it out and you can put it in storage for safety?
There you go. But that's the thing is that was sentimental. That wasn't statement. You know what I mean? That was a sentimental piece. Sentimental is good, but that's not going to be everybody's sentiment, right? That you got to take that thing out. I remember the one time you took out a lamp thing and you were doing a renovation and you stuck this thing on the right. You were like, all right, this is trash. You were ready to trash it, and then you were like, you called them and they're like, I can't remember the story.
Oh yeah, I remember this story.
Yeah, yeah. We won't go into it.
I don't want to get into that one. All right, let's move on to the last one. This is neutral paint colors and fabrics. Pretty straightforward. I mean, bold colors, intricate prints have their time and place, as the article states. But maybe that won't appeal to everyone.
I'm in with it. Yeah, I think I paint places almost every time we sell them, and it's a neutral color. It's a nice tan or a nice gray. Can you make statements? Yeah. I mean, you could pop some color here and there, which bathrooms, sometimes you give it a little color. Linens, keep them cool. But, you need some accent. You need some color.
And the takeaway shouldn't be you have to go neutral. Like you have to, have white linens. You have don't have a sterile place. Have a few pieces of pop here and there. But we've also gone into places that have 6 different shades of paint.
Yeah.
And, crazy eclectic furniture. And you're like, this is now a distraction.
It's a distraction. That's the only thing that you've got to think about. Is the paint a distraction or is it making it cool? And there's plenty of times when I go into a place and I'm like, man, is this a cool color? And it's like this weird teal, right? And I'm like, this looks so good. And when a room is that color and it looks so good, you leave it, right? It doesn't have to be toned down. If it looks good, keep it. That's it.
Cool. Well, there we have it. In or out, home accent edition. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the thumbs up button if you haven't already. Subscribe. Shawn, how many subscribers are you up to?
763.
Something. We're getting up. We're going up.
Subscribe, man.
Spotify, we love you guys for listening. Thank you. Yeah. I think we just hit 150 downloads on Spotify.
Cool.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you all. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Take care.